Hello everyone and welcome to What a Barb, a Pollen podcast, a brand new podcast celebrating all things Penelope and Colin from the Netflix TV show Bridgerton. My name is obviously Oblivious90, but you can call me Ovs, and each week I'll be joined by a group of dedicated Pollen fans as we take you through episode deep dives, the latest breaking news, and share all our favourite theories and speculation as we impatiently await the arrival of season 3. I am so excited to be joined today by some of the very best Pollen fans I know, who also just so happen to be some of my very dearest friends. Do you want to all introduce yourself and explain how you managed to find yourself trapped in this purgatory that we're all sharing?
I'm Lay Chimeric. You can call me Lechy or Lecky. I was a relatively normal person until season 2 of Bridgerton came out. Now I spend a significant amount of my time making fan edits, and my husband casually name-dropped Dankworth in conversation the other day, a character that does not even exist yet in the Bridgerton universe, just to give you an idea of my obsession with Pollen and Bridgerton.
Hello, y'all. My name is Beans, aka Cool Beans. Some of you might know me from doing the Churro Crumbs. And I just started that because, when I originally joined the main sub, I was like, damn, it's a toxic place here. Oh no, wait, should I not say that? I don't give a shit. I'm throwing shade, girls. Anyway. And then they were like, whoa, here's Pollen. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. So I joined it. There was a lot of stuff going on, and I was like, it'd be great if we just had this all in one space, because that's how I am able to read everything and make it last. So that's how the Crumbs started, and that's how I met everybody. Voila.
Hello. I am Veg's Bay, also known as Veg. Username was made a while ago because I like vegetables.
My carrot queen.
I have quite a fun origin story for Pollen. Basically, I watched Bridgerton like a normal person. I have a history of being a fangirl when I was like a teen for Merlin and Sherlock and all that stuff. But I was relatively normal in adulthood, and then about this time last year I had a dream about Colin and Penelope. And previously I'd been okay with them being serious, but I was like, I was nonplussed. And then I had a dream, and then since then have been obsessed.
You saw the light.
It was a divine intervention.
Actually, so how Veg was like roped into our group was when I started doing the Crumbs. She was sending me shit on the side to be like, oh, I think they're doing stuff in Greenwich, and then I introduced her to everybody, and we talked about her for months, about how we loved and adored her, and then we roped her into the group.
True enough. I live close to where some of the series, well, all the series filming is, so I have like the inside line of when stuff was happening, and I was thrilled to be useful. Yeah. And so thank you so much, guys, for welcoming me into your whatever this is.
It's been a joy, Veg.
Hi, my name is Hearts182 on Reddit. I was one of the first members of the Pollen Reddit, and then I became the moderator, and I've been obsessed since I watched Bridgerton. They kind of roped me in immediately. As soon as Colin said that he would never court Penelope Featherington, I didn't even watch the ending of the TV series. Like right there, I pressed pause and I ordered their book online and I bought it and I read it. And I missed the Canthony kiss. Like I didn't even know it happened because I was too obsessed with Colin and his dirty little words. And it's spiraled since then.
I love that you didn't even finish the season before you ordered the book.
The season. I paused it and I was in, man. He got me. He roped me in.
I love that it was like the most traumatic scene, and you were like,
I love this guy. Who's this guy? He can treat me like trash any day. No.
He's just your type. And yeah, as I said, I'm Ovs, and I actually read the first book, I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago. I just heard about it and I read it, and then for various reasons I wasn't a massive fan. So when the show came out, I kind of avoided it a little bit because I was like, I've already read about this. I knew that they hadn't made certain changes, so I was like, I'm cool to not really watch it. And then weirdly, Veg, you and I are both massively into musical theatre, aren't we? Especially here. So I'm also in London, just like Veg is. And so I went to see a show in 2021 that had Ollie Higginson in, who plays Footman John. This is like a very rambly story, but he was in it. It was called The Last 5 Years, and I thought he was amazing. So I followed him on social media so I could catch up with his career. And then when season 2 came around, he was posting about it, and he was posting about him and Eloise. And in my little tiny brain, I thought that was like a real thing. And so I was like, oh, I don't want to watch the show, but I want to support this actor. So I ended up watching it, realised that wasn't a thing, and he was just Footman John. Still love him. And then I'm not sure what happened. I can't, it's like a haze to me. Just somehow the pollen happened. And the way I found myself to all of you was I noticed his yellow mallet in the Pall Mall scene, and I was like, oh, surely that is deliberate. And so I googled it to see if it was like a deliberate homage to Penelope. Found a Reddit thread, fell down the hole. A year later, here we are. So you might know me as well. I'm one of the moderators of the Pollen Bridgerton sub. And yeah, life has not been the same since. But along the way, we all found each other. So we've known each other since like last summer, I think.
Almost a year. It'll be a year about
Almost
Pirate Colin. Yay, Pirate
yeah,
Colin times.
5th of August. The date is drilled into my brain. And then, Veg, as we said, like you've been our eyes on the ground, like our secret intel the whole time, kind of feeding us information as you saw the little signs go up and stuff. And then, like I say, we met at the wedding. So what a beautiful day.
I have a question. Has everybody read the books?
Yes.
Yep. Well, no, I've read through Phil Louise's book, through Eloise's and Philip's book.
I have read all the books, except I don't think I've read Hyacinth, and I've no idea why, because it sounds like a good one. But I'm also guilty of doing that thing where I just like search up the Colin and Penelope references in all the books. I have done that quite a few times.
I've done that.
I have only read parts of the 3rd book. I have not read any of the books.
I read the books. I read them thoroughly, and I think that I have Pollen's book memorized at this point. It's pretty embarrassing.
I listened to the audiobook, so...
Is the audiobook good?
Yeah, the audiobook's fine. It's like this kind of well-spoken English woman. So when she's sort of being Colin saying something sexual, it is a bit weird. Because she just kind of puts on a deeper voice. She's like, Penelope.
It's like the doomed.
Guess I'm into it.
Not quite Luke Newton performance level.
But yes, Obs and I, we met when they were filming, we think, the wedding scene. And I messaged Obs on Reddit, and I was like, I'm going to be there and I'll come and find you. And then I said, if anyone here is from Reddit, that's me that you were talking to. And you were like, that's me! And that's it was a wonderful moment.
We should clarify, there were a couple other people there.
Yeah, irrelevant. No. Lovely people.
But they weren't from Reddit, I think. Yeah. So you're like, I'm the Reddit one. I'm safe.
If you're listening, it was great to meet you too.
It's so funny because the listeners probably don't know, like, if they saw a wedding picture, that's because of you.
Yeah, mostly Obs' crumbing and a bit my crumbing.
If they saw the leak of the flowers, if they saw the leak of the chapel, you were there. It was you. You released it to the internet.
And she didn't always slap her name on them. Like, we tried to get her to slap her stuff on there, so they knew it wasn't unboxed, but we tried our best.
Yeah, we're the cool ones. Everything that went too far and used a drone, that wasn't us.
I did not use a drone. I did not commit a crime.
No drones were used in the search for this footage.
We did not trespass. We simply used public transport, and we used our eyes. And that is what my lawyer has instructed me to say.
Shout out to the Uber boat.
Yep.
Thank you to the Uber boat.
Bus route 53? 52? 53?
Bus route 53. It's got a lovely view on the way. I can recommend the bus route 53 if anyone is in London. And just, sometimes if you happen to see tiny little Pen and Collins on your journey, then that's the throw of the dice, isn't it, that life hands you?
Just barely over a 12-foot wall.
So So before we jump into our episode, I thought I'd give you a little bit of information about the podcast and what you can expect week in, week out. So as I said earlier, we are dedicated to all things Penelope and Colin, and we'll be passing the time between now and season 3 by discussing all things Pollen. So we're going to have episode rewatches, where we're going to take a deep dive into their journeys throughout each episode of season 1 and season 2. We'll be tracking the highs and lows of their stories, analysing their interactions, digging for clues. We'll also be discussing behind the scenes trivia, and I'm sure we'll be going on plenty of tangents together. As we've said, we are in the presence of the Crumbs Queen herself, Beans, who we bow down to. And thanks to Beans, we have a catalogue of crumbs where we have been busy unearthing the tiniest details we possibly could about season 3. So in our episodes, we'll have deep dives where we break through every single crumb we've had and see what we can find out about what's coming ahead of us. We'll also be reacting to breaking crumbs along the way. So as the coming weeks finally approaches, we'll bring you our reactions to everything that hopefully comes with it. So we'll be talking to Doom, clips, stills, interviews, and maybe one day we might even have trailers, posters. I don't know how we're going to cope if that happens to us.
I'm gonna cry.
It's coming soon.
Please don't use words like coming soon.
I don't think it's ever coming, but I appreciate your optimism.
Coming soon in my past life.
Coming in the coming weeks.
By the way, is anyone able to explain the coming weeks for anyone who's not aware listening?
So for those who don't know, just a little insight into some of our memes. The coming weeks actually comes from Nicola herself. When she had an interview, I think during London Fashion Week, she basically said that we would see her costumes and things like that within the coming weeks. Now that was back in January, February, September. Girl, it's been a long time. So since then, we've kind of used the coming weeks as a joke between the fandom to say oh yeah, things are certainly coming. It's a fairly sarcastic term. So.
I just can't believe there might be content.
Next week, within the week, Veg.
Well, yeah, we'll hit on that when we hit the to them.
Yeah. As we're recording this, we're on Sunday, the 11th of June. So we're still a few days out from To Doom, but it's not going to stop us from spiralling. So just to note, this podcast, if you haven't already told from the things we've already said, is going to be full of spoilers for both the show, the book series, and as well a discussion of the many, many filming leaks that we have from the season. So we will try and flag spoilers as we can, but as you've just seen us massively fail and do, we probably will forget to do it along the way. So all aboard for the spoilers. Of course, the topic on everyone's lips this week is the one, the only, the sleep paralysis demon itself, To Doom 2.0.
Double To Doom, baby! Wee. Now,
Beans, you saw this coming, didn't you?
I sure fucking did. My bad, y'all. I have a potty mouth. Anyway, yeah, I did see this coming, mostly just because I felt it in my bones, and I'm a psychic for all things Bridgerton. I think, I started feeling it after Queen Charlotte came out, because I was well, it's probably not going to come out till later this year, which means that we will most likely get a different To Doom. Little did I know it was going to be in June, so I was all the way correct, and I will be patting myself on the back for that. Thank you.
I'll just chime in and say it was a few months back, Bean started using the phrase double to doom, and we all thought she was crazy, and we were also horrified. Yeah. So then when that hilariously became a reality, it's a gift and a curse.
You have foreseen some terrible things in this fandom.
Fandom. I can't wait to talk about predictions that I've gotten correct. I'm so excited to bestow my gifts.
And we are going to do a deep dive into To Doom and everything we can expect and clown about. But before we discuss everyone's favourite Harbinger of Doom, do we have any other crumbs to cover this week?
I do know that we need to talk about Luke Newton's play. So he's in a play right now in London called The Shape of Things that's on until the 1st of July. I've got tickets 1st of July, but Obs, you've been already, right?
I have. I saw it a few days ago and I absolutely loved it. I really did. It's a really good play just to start with. There's a cast of 4 and they're all fantastic. But, we spent so much time analysing both Luke Newton and Nicola Coughlin's acting, so I feel like we know it pretty well by now, but to see that in the flesh was so brilliant, because we've always talked about how nuanced he is, right, and how layered he is with his attention to character, and he really brings that, and it was surreal, but he was excellent. And Veg, we're going together, aren't we? So
yes,
I can't wait to go see it again. And it's actually a play where I think, I don't want to spoil anything because there's a bit of, I don't even want to say, but I think it's a play where if you see it once, you'll want to go see it again, and kind of rewatch it to pick up on things. That's as far as I'm going to go, but it was a great play and everyone should go see it if you can.
It's also interesting to note that a lot of critics have been praising his comedic timing, which I think Veg was going to touch on. But that just makes me excited for season 3, because we've been told that season 3 has a kind of rom-com feel to it. So I'm excited to see Luke use more of his comedy chops next season.
I think it would be great. And I think that like comic timing, I'm not an expert, but that's one of the like most important skills I think an actor can have. Like if you've got an actor with good comic timing, then like it's going to be great performance. And I just think
and we've seen that from Nicola, obviously, in Derry Girls. So she has that in abundance, and you know, all of his jokes and all of his line deliveries were landing, and the crowd was just loving it. So to see that reaction and to know kind of, like you say, the direction that they're going towards in season 3, when we already know how Nicola can deliver, and we've already seen it from Colin, he has a lot of funny lines, but with the direction that they're going to go, it's going to work really well, and I'm really excited. And I'm really proud because, you know, finally getting that recognition.
He's got so many good reviews, but one I found was from All That Dazzles, who I think do a lot of like musical reviews, but they're quite popular on Twitter and stuff, and I really value their opinion. And it says a lot of great stuff about how great he is. But it says that Newton's comic timing proves to be exquisite, and it also talks about like the chemistry between him and another character, and at the end it says they spoke a bit about the script needing a bit of polish. You know, that doesn't speak to Newt, and it says they hoped it would be a bit braver and better reflect the outstanding talent stood on stage.
Oh,
That's our boy.
that's great. In other news, Luke mentioned Bridgerton Season 3 in an interview with the Evening Standard and shared some fun anecdotes about life on set. Apparently, Nicola Coughlin's beauty routine has rubbed off on Luke, who now gets facials and sometimes used her facial massager while in hair and makeup on set. According to Luke, she also bought him a shirt that says Chaps, Chaps, Chaps on the back and Colin's tour on the front to commemorate the grand tour that Colin went on before Season 2, which is hilarious.
And for those not in tune with British lad culture, that's a reference, chaps being the old-fashioned version of lads, and lads on tour, lads is the reference for that t-shirt.
Right, yeah, he said he's too embarrassed to wear it in public, so he just wears it to the gym.
Just to the gym instead.
Other crumbs, Sam Devling. Oh shit, I said his name wrong. Sam Phillips, who plays Lord Devling, will be, or has confirmed that there's going to be the show towards the end of the year. So, or no, let me repeat all of that.
He didn't say, that's the thing, he didn't say towards the end of the year.
Okay.
He said later this year, right?
My goodness.
Later this year. He didn't say at the end of the year, guys.
I mean, it means the same thing, but just, yeah. So speaking of Sam Phillips, who plays Lord Devling, who we believe will be one of Penelope's suitors, mentioned in a podcast that Bridgerton Season 3 will be released later this year, and he also confirmed that he'd be doing press at some point. And based on the fact that James Foon, who plays Harry Dankworth, who we also believe may be a suitor, and I also think he marries Prudence.
Yeah, he marries Prudence.
He posted on Instagram that he recently met with Shondaland, so it seems like maybe they might be getting ready to do press. And based on, in the podcast, Sam also mentioned that he has a really nice part in Bridgerton. That makes me think that he's probably the main suitor and rival
totally
for Colin
agree.
in Season 3.
I hope so.
I can't wait.
If you do want to listen to the podcast, it's Drama School Dropout as well, if you want to give it a listen.
All right.
In terms of other crumbs, Simone Ashley was recently interviewed by Elle magazine and spoke about Bridgerton. She said that it is going to be, quote, hotter than ever, and that with Kate, we're going to see a much more softer side coming this season, and we'll be seeing more softness in Kate's wardrobe as well as in her marriage to Anthony, and that she will be quite content. I just wanted to point out this is kind of on par with other remarks she's already made about season 3 in the past, both for Cantony and for Pollen, but particularly for Pollen, she's described the season as, quote, super steamy and, quote, condensation central. So the fact that she's mentioning how hot it is, again, really makes me think that this is going to be a return to the spiciness, probably, of season 1.
It's all the condensation built up on the inside of the carriage.
The Titanic hand on the carriage, is that what you're hoping for?
Yeah. Who needs At this point, though, everybody says that it's so steamy. I'm convinced that they're setting Bridgerton in the subterranean. That's what's happening. So everybody's just sweating because they're all just genuinely very hot.
I also feel like they talk about this so much that this has to be proof that they go all the way before they're even married. Right? Like, I mean, we haven't had that dynamic yet on the show. Mm-hmm. And just the fact that they keep talking about it makes me think that they probably do.
Hey, get it, my girl.
I love Simone talking about it. I think she's, as we've said, she's said things before which are just, like, very supportive. She's such a champion of, like, everyone else in the cast. And she knows how much she can say and get away with it from Sonderland, but then, you know, she's giving us what she can.
Oh, she's lovely. She's always said super complimentary things about the season, and we're so looking forward to seeing, you know, Anthony being settled down and happy and maybe not trying to make his siblings miserable or interfering. Maybe he'll be helping Colin instead of, like, you know, harming Daphne's chances. Maybe he'll be helping Colin.
Yeah, he'll be a supportive older brother.
Hearts disagrees with me, but it could happen.
I think he's going to be Colin's antagonist this season.
I think he's sort of had the antagonist season and he's had the protagonist season. So I think maybe there'll be another angle for him.
I'm hoping that Kate will soften him up, like Simone Ashley said, and that he'll be a little more laid back and hopefully nicer to his younger siblings, because I feel like he doesn't pay much attention to them or in the past, you know, there's that scene in I think it's the final episode where he says some hurtful things to all of his siblings, but yeah, we'll see.
I think he's going to be essential to Colin's character development, maybe again with Penn, but mostly with how Colin sees himself within the family and how the family sees him. There's been like a very strong push and pull throughout both seasons of him needing his brother's approval, but having the dynamic where his brother is also the father figure. And they both seem to have this problem where they always seem to approach each other the slightly wrong way. So sometimes Colin will go to him needing a brother and Anthony will be in father mode, or vice versa. And so you have this clash, and you can see how much Colin needs Anthony's approval, especially in terms of being taken seriously and within the family, but also as a grown-up. So he stopped being seen as the younger child and starts to be seen more as the adult that he so desperately wants to be. So I think Anthony is going to have a really important role. I think it's maybe going to come later in the season. I'm hoping that earlier in the season it's maybe more with Benedict, a bit more comedic before we get into the drama of the later episodes.
My main hope, a bit shallow, but, you know, in season 1, when Anthony asked Colin about Marina, did you compromise the girl? And he says, certainly not. I'm a gentleman. I'm praying for a parallel in series 3.
Yes, 100%.
Where he asks, did you compromise Penelope? And he goes, yes, I did. And I'd do it again.
Or he doesn't even have to be asked. He just goes and admits it. Yeah. And Anthony, like, drops whatever he's carrying. Yeah.
Or he, like, doesn't make eye contact with anybody. He's like, define compromise.
The carriage needs cleaned.
Maybe he'll say that she compromised him. He's the virtuous one, she's the bad girl.
I also wanted to mention that our fundraiser for Laura Lynn Children's Hospice in Ireland met its goal. We raised a bit over 500 euro for that. If you're on the subreddit, you'll know that we kind of created that in honor of our random rivalry, our random object game, the victor of which was Colin's biscuit cushion. It's a cushion that he uses to elevate his plate of biscuits in season 2. That was the random object that we all thought was worthy of the competition. And also in honor of, I believe it was Colin's 199th wedding anniversary. But I also just wanted to encourage people, if you want to chip in honor of Tudum, the fundraiser doesn't end until July 1st. I'll probably post the link on our social media, but it's on iDonate if you search for Pollen Bridgerton. This is also a charity that Nicola Coughlan has advocated for in the past, so that's why we chose it. And yeah, it's a good cause if you want to chip in honor of Tudum, whether we get something or not.
It's either a celebration donation or a commiseration donation.
Yes.
And we also had another massive crumb this week, didn't we? And it's so sad that split-second clips send us into exceedingly high levels of excitement. But we had a sighting of Luke Newton in the middle of New York City on a giant billboard. This was part of a Tudum promo. This is all but confirmed that Luke will be part of Tudum. We don't think he'll be in Brazil in the flesh because he is currently in the play that we spoke about earlier, but he's there, he's square. He's not square, he's looking great.
And he's got flat hair.
Rectangular.
Yeah.
Let's give you a little bit of a backstory on what Tudum actually is. As I'm sure it's all burned into your memory, last year Tudum took place on the 24th of September, and it's become an infamous part of our fan history. But for those of you who are not quite familiar with the whole concept of Tudum, Veg, can you just give us a reminder of what we're talking about?
So Tudum was named after the noise that happens when you open up Netflix. Tudum. It's a global fan event which historically is streamed online, and it tends to feature exclusive news from Netflix's biggest shows and has never before seen footage, trailers, first looks, cursed word, we don't know what that means, interviews and games. So Pollen fans of all ages and genders will remember last year's Tudum very vividly. So essentially it was very hyped up. We thought, this is it, we're going to get release date, clip, carriage shit. We didn't think that, but we were very hyped. It was my first sort of big experience of the Pollen subreddit. I joined the live chat that was happening when Tudum was going on. It was very much a moment for us all. And then they ended up doing some painting.
Some beautiful paintings, we have to add. It was
I think it's
beautiful.
just funny that you mentioned never before seen footage, because we also never saw any footage.
Never after seen footage either.
It was very much a moment for us all.
Yeah, we were so excited in the lead up because we kind of like in the last couple days, we saw little clips of Luke and Claudia knowing that they would be there, and we thought they'd be introducing a clip. Unfortunately, that honor went to Queen Charlotte, which in retrospect I understand, but to be a Pollen fan is to know pain, and that date is burned into my memory now.
In fact, when we were watching it, I remember all three of us were doing a chat, and we were trying to dissect what the little camera thing said, where it said there would be 4 clips, and I was like, y'all, one of the 4 clips is literally just them introducing shit to us. And you were like, no it isn't, it's gonna be something else. It was not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Beans is the harbinger of doom.
Excuse me, I'm just living in reality.
But we did get a couple of things from last year's Tudum. Not the things we wanted, but maybe the things we deserved.
We'd already figured it out via crumbs and a blurry picture of a script that the first episode would be called Out of the Shadows, but we got the official confirmation. I'm sure it was news to a lot of the general population, if not to us. We had the opening Lady Whistledown. Duke of Thistledown. The opening Lady Whistledown monologue from Out of the Shadows, episode 1 of series 3. That's nice as well. And we all had a good cry, so always good to get that out of our system. No, it was fine.
Yeah, it was just it was an interesting experience just because it was so hyped for months. We were so convinced that we were going to get something, and it was just the first in a long string of disappointments since then. But we're still here. We still love Pollen. We're still anxiously awaiting the first glimpse of content from season 3. Yes, official content. Not leaked by the crew of shows that may be getting canceled in the near future. Yeah. I believe it was Nicola who said that this year's To Doom, we'd be getting a first look, and that traditionally means a clip. So hopefully we will be getting a clip, and it will be a Pollen clip. And in the last few days, we've been receiving more pictures and video of that billboard in Times Square of Luke Newton, increasingly in high definition. Last night, one of our friends, Trisky, sent us some new footage taken at night, which actually shows his costume in better detail. And we saw some colors in his waistcoat. There was some purple in there. If you're a Bridgerton fan, you know that purple and lilac means love. We also saw some blue and gold. The gold, I think, probably represents, I think that might be how they're incorporating yellow into this season. We can talk about that more.
I don't think he's had such an intricate vest or design on his vest before. Am I incorrect, or is that like something?
I think he always has. He always has.
He does in season 1.
In season 1, he wore a lot more florals, and in season 2, you see more paisleys and the damask patterns, and then he even wore a pattern from the 1600s in the finale when he was in purple. Lilac Colin is what we call him. Lilac Colin has like I forgot the name of it, but it's from the 1500s.
So the purple is interesting to me. It jumps out at me because it's obviously he's on the journey of falling in love or recognizing that he's in love. And then the gold, the yellow for Penelope,
and then
is there, I think.
His actual
then there's that
suit has a pattern on it.
Suit.
It looks like a zebra or a tiger pattern.
I think it's like Katie had said on our sub that they're trying to draw more parallels between Colin and Simon because they're both kind of interested in traveling, and his wardrobe in season 1 was a lot like Simon's. He wore that rich burgundy coat and some other rich colors. So I think maybe John Glazer, who was one of the costume designers for season 1, is returning to that by incorporating this kind of unusual exotic pattern to his coat. But I will say for anyone concerned that I think when they recolor this footage, it won't be as pronounced as it is under like the harsh TV lighting they're doing for To Doom. But yeah, it is a very interesting coat, and it's interesting that they chose that for the first look.
Colin really can navigate himself in society, and he belongs there, and he loves it. Even though we've not quite seen it yet, you see it a lot more in the books, and I think they're going to play into that in season 3 because he's dressing more like a dandy. He's dressing more like he belongs in elite high society. Like he's the fashion equivalent of like Cressida with her bird's nest braids, and they're going to go on that together, and he's going to teach her how to navigate and how to be the queen of society that she really is.
And that would definitely play off of the summary that we've gotten, which is Colin helping Penelope find a love interest, which, if you don't mind me segueing, could lead us into what possibly the first look would be. Any suggestions on what that first clip might have?
I think it's going to be a ball, and I think it's going to be Colin and Penelope's first meeting of the season. I think she may watch him return home, but I think their first interaction will be at a ball. At least I feel like that would be an interesting starting point for their season because it introduces some conflict, and it'll kind of make us wonder what happens next before they introduce the suitor plot, the matchmaking solution that Colin will offer. But yeah, I think it'll be a ball.
Yeah, I think I'm right along the lines of Lecce. I think that is a perfect place to start to introduce their dynamic to us, to where previously we had seen Penelope pine for him at every ball. And now we're going to see the switch where Colin's been subconsciously falling more for her, and she's been closing herself off to him since the comment made at the last episode. And so a peek into their first dynamic, I think, would really catch our attention, as if they don't have our attention, but it would catch casual fans' attentions. And I really think, I think it's going to be the cold shoulder moment, and I think my dream would be for it to be a cold shoulder dance. Yeah.
It will be a teaser, sorry, Beans, but I think it will be, you know, they want people to watch, so we've got to put our marketing hats on. And I think for that reason it will be quite early on, and they won't do the dance because, you know, we know that they think Luke is a great dancer. So they'll save that up for us, and I think it will be pre-glow up, potentially, because it seems like they want that to be a big moment. I don't know if we're going to get it like She's All That style makeover. I know we discussed that a lot, but
I agree with you.
I think it will be...
I think the clip will be pre-glow up as well, because I think they're saving it, and I think that's why they won't show us anything. I think they're saving that big moment, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so I agree with Veg in that it needs to kind of appeal to the general audience. I think what's interesting about this season, and that I've kind of thought a lot about before, is because it's a pre-existing story, and you've got people who aren't like us, who've gone and lived normal, happy lives that are probably very fulfilled since last March, and they need to remind the general audience of the conflict that exists between them. So I'm very intrigued in general to see how that's going to be reintroduced in episode 1. But I don't know. So I posted on the Pollen Reddit, I posted on the Pollen Bridgerton subreddit. And first of all, I asked, what does first look mean? What is the dictionary definition? And most people seem to think it was a 1-minute clip. So we do have optimism amongst us. Oh, and then I asked everyone, what do they think the clip would be of? And over 55% of people said it would be their first time interacting at the ball, with Penn giving him the cold shoulder. So that's the general consensus.
Mm-hmm. Do we think that Penelope is going, like, do we think in this particular clip that we're seeing, we're going to see Penelope confronting Colin, or do we think we're just going to see like a cold shoulder and Colin looking at her like, what did I do?
I think she's written him off, and we're going to get that moment from Colin where he's snubbed again, like at the end of the season 1, where she tries to snub him for a dance or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, or Penelope, why didn't you reply to my letters?
I wonder if he'll even bring that up, or if he'll just expect that there was some reason that she didn't do that. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, if he's like, oh, I noticed you weren't like writing back to me, is everything okay? And she's just like, bye, bitch. It was so sad.
He's supposed to like be returning with swagger also, so it's not like he'll be self-conscious about her lack of replying to letters if that happens. So I wonder if he's just invented an excuse in his head, like, oh, everything's fine, Penelope thinks I'm a hero, just remembering their last moment together, that he just thinks everything's fine.
Oh, that's a fun perspective.
Just to see I think it's Obbs who wants to see the life drain out of his eyes.
Yeah, I want to see the light leave his eyes, and I love him dearly. I'm not saying that in a mean way, but it is something I will pay money to see.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying, Obbs, is Colin doit souffrir.
Colin doit souffrir.
For the listener, this has become law. So Lecky, our wonderful, talented Lecky, does edits using clips. And can I just say, when we have actual clips from Tudum, oh my gosh, the thing she's going to do. But every time she posts an edit, the comments are always full of multilingual proclamations that Colin doit souffrir, Colin must suffer. If anyone can offer another language, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I always get excited to click translate, and it's always just some new language, some person has found a new way to say Colin must suffer. And I feel like we mostly agree that we don't think Colin needs to suffer. He's going to make himself suffer. If you just look at the synopsis for season 3, agreeing to help find Penn another husband, he's going to be miserable.
He's He's taking care of that all by himself. Bless his soul. Penn will need to breathe, and he will be suffering. So everyone can take your pitchforks down. Colin doit souffrir.
I don't know.
What's Colin will suffer?
Colin souffrira.
Yeah, which
Don't
is
take
it the perfect
that,
tense? Is it the
please.
imperfect
It's been a
tense?
while. So Colin va souffrir, I guess we'll go with.
Colin va souffrir.
That's
Yeah.
Colin is going to suffer.
And he will, dear listener. And it's so nice to have another costume to add to my beloved little costume montages.
Yes.
So we are shocked to have a high quality Colin. He was a bit blurry earlier in the week, but thanks to our friends on the ground, he's got increased in quality over the past few days. But this is actually, I think, the 5th costume that we've seen him in for season 3, which is 4 more than I'm sure Shondaland would like us to have. But nevertheless, we have persevered. So just to recap the Collins that we do have in our little Colin lookbook, we've got the one, the only Pirate Colin. Our
Should we
eternal
explain
salvation.
for the listeners? If you're blissfully unaware, and these are your first tentative steps into the world of Pollen, pretty early on into filming series 3, we had a paparazzi image of Colin coming to the Bridgerton house. We think it is for the sort of opening of the series, perhaps Francesca's debut. But yeah, he's a pirate. He's dressed like a pirate. He's got red leather gloves on. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yep. Boots, red leather gloves, a very long, dark brown leather coat, a blue shirt that it looks like it's not tucked in, but I think that's just maybe his cravat's undone. But yeah, his neckline is open.
Yeah, you can see some chest, which is unheard of.
And an incredibly high waist.
Yeah.
We also have footage from this day. There's a photo of Anthony picking up the loose cravats or his shirt, obviously making fun of his attire coming home, because obviously Anthony is not going to approve of this look like we do. But that'll be a fun moment when we finally see that scene.
But I'm sure Anthony will approve of the second look that we have of him. There were many unconfirmed sightings of him on set. Many times where we got confused about what we were looking at. Rest in peace to Purple Velvet Colin. But our next official sighting of Colin in costume was the famous This Morning leak from January the 9th, early this year. And this is very similar to the billboard Colin that we have. They are different. It's definitely a different jacket, different waistcoat and everything. But we have the flouncy cravat again. We have a very tight cravat, tragically. We've got the dark blue colours, so all those who hoped and thought that he would be green, he's gone for the dark blues because he's a grown-up now, not like our baby blue Colin that we had in season 2. And his hair was very, very neat, so this could be for the speculation, it could be for the engagement ball, but he was no longer the pirate that we know and loved, but we love him nonetheless. Then our next sighting of him in costume was at the wedding, whoever's wedding that may be. And there's a tiny little sliver where you can see just a tiny bit of him in a goldenish kind of waistcoat. Very, very wedding-y, with a dark blue cravat up to his neck again. And then the last sighting that we have was from Ranger's house, the end of Block 4, captured by yours truly, our beloved Pixel Colin, where again he's wearing this very dark blue jacket with a dark blue cravat. So it feels like that's his vibe for this season.
Yeah, it's definitely a cohesive look for sure. Yeah, ever since we saw the enchanted pollen picture, as we call it, the This Morning leak, everything we've seen since then seems to be kind of in the same shade and tones. Yeah, so I think they're kind of leaning into the dark blue for him. It'll be interesting if he wears any other colors this season and what those would be.
Yeah, there's definitely a look, and that was a great summary of. And I think for the listener, it's worth noting, this kind of minutiae, this detail, this is what we live for, and this is what we've had to live for in this long dry spell. So you're joining us at a time where we might actually get content to talk about. If we'd done this podcast 6 months ago, we would have spent an hour on
the
one
cravat.
picture.
The undone cravat would have been an entire episode, and possibly even a series.
But you can check out the subreddit for the full deep dives. While
It would have been an hour of me pulling everybody off the ladder.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll get to the ladder, don't you worry.
Like Ob said, we didn't have a new costume leak from August until January. So that was all we had for months.
Yep. And then we got the Enchanted Pollen leak, which was amazing. And it also told us a lot about their characters. We could talk about that more later, but we can kind of see some Violet Edmund parallels going on there based on the portrait that was hanging behind them and that leaked those leaked pictures and footage.
And in Queen Charlotte, we've seen that as well. So
that's true. Yep. But yeah.
But next week, who knows? I'm hoping that this billboard will get translated into social media ad campaigns. We can screenshot it and have an even clearer image. But as we know, in this cursed fandom, we don't always get what we want. So we've got how many days now? 6 days until to do. Even less by the time that you'll all hear this.
Just think we have like 21 minutes of pollen footage. Next week we might have 22.
Do you know what's incredible about that, Lek? Is that we said the same thing word for word in September.
Back in September.
And we haven't progressed. We haven't progressed a single point since then.
Yep.
Except from our ill-gotten crumb gains. So we have truly survived on near enough nothing. So the prospect of content is a shared delirium, I would say.
Sadly, last time I was working on an edit for To Doom, and I left a little space for a clip from To Doom that never materialized. So hopefully that doesn't happen this time. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I have the heart to start a new one right now. But yeah,
I will laugh if it's a Penelope's clip. I can see it happening.
Yeah.
It would be okay. It would just be heartbreaking, but it would be nice to see new footage either way. Yeah.
Beans, you're the harbinger of doom. The prophet. What's the clip gonna have?
Yeah, Beans, make a final declaration about what's gonna happen.
Is it gonna be a pollen clip or a Penelope's clip, do you think?
It's gonna be a pollen clip. Like, I know that people think it's gonna be Penelope's, but I think because we really want to focus in on it being that relationship, they're going to push pollen. So I know it's like I know we're all worried about it. I just think that since these two are the main characters of season 3, they're going to introduce those main characters, which is these two falling in love. So that will be the clip.
Yes, fingers crossed.
I think Eloise having a clip, or having, because we saw Eloise in the billboard, I think that just goes to show that she will have an integral part in season 3. However, she is not a main character.
Quick fire round. I want your final predictions locked in and loaded. So I'm going to ask you all very quickly and you're going to have to declare. So, first question. What scene is it going to be a clip from? Lecky.
Pollen clip, it's at a ball, it's their first meeting of season 3.
Veg.
Colin returning and looks across the road to Featherstone House and sees Penelope.
That's a good one. Hearts.
It's a pollen clip, it's the cold shoulder moment, and it stops right as he's taking her to the dance floor.
Nice.
Beans.
It's a pollen clip. He asks her to dance. She says no.
Amazing.
All together, pre-glow up or post-glow up?
Pre-glow.
Pre-glow up.
And what colour dress is she going to wear? Like,
Oh God, yellow.
this was a hot topic for many months during the wilderness. We have had countless discussions about what colour. So she's still going to be in yellow. Veg.
I'm happy with yellow.
Hearts.
I'm gonna go with a pink or a harsh green, but I think she's off of yellow. I think.
Beans. You seem to be enthusiastic about that.
Yes, you stole it right out of my mouth, Hearts. I think it's going to be green.
I would love it for it to be green.
It's going to be green.
She's going to be in her Reputation era, so who knows what she's
It's gonna be
come
in
up with.
black, and she's gonna have fishnets on.
Reputation.
Eyeliner.
Smoking a cigarette outside.
She's gonna have her hair bleached. Yeah, she's gonna go full rep era.
Okay, well, we'll see how embarrassed you'll all be next week when none of that comes to pass and the coming weeks continue. No, I feel it's a good one.
You're going to be embarrassed for back-talking me that way.
You're going to fly across and make me pay for it. And
Sure
I think we are going to have some sort of maybe input, like, well, Veg and I might be in person reaction to them next week. We'll have a chat. You'll hear all of our thoughts as quickly as we can possibly get them out. And I'm sure if you head to our subreddit, you'll also be able to keep up to date with how we process what's going to happen to us. We're either going to be so distraught that we spiral beyond all spirals, or we're going to be so delirious that we just lose all coherence. But either way, we'll be in it together like we have been this whole time. Should we wrap it up the episode?
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything else to add?
I do have something to add.
Yeah, go for it.
So I just wanted to say to the listeners, I think that this goes without saying, this is obviously our first podcast, so we're still working out the kinks. And to just, you're going to be riding this journey with us, and we will figure it out as we go. So thank you, everybody, and continue to listen.
Yeah, please do. And until then, where can everyone find us?
You can find us at What a Barb Pod on Instagram and TikTok.
You can also find us lurking, posting polls, and posting any crumbs we have on r/PollenBridgerton. That's on Reddit.
But until then, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you all soon. Happy to done week, and may the pollen gods shine on us all.
Bye.
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 Au revoir, babies.